How's it going, YouTube? In this video, I'm going to tell you exactly how to Leetcode and what I learned from all the mistakes that I made. So, as you know, I have interviewed at a lot of places. This year I interviewed at Meta. Last year I interviewed at TikTok. The year before I interviewed at LinkedIn. And over that period of time, I did a lot of different ways to study Leetcode. What I found was some ways worked out really well, but most of the ones didn't work out very well. And I wanted to talk about some of the things that did work for me and that didn't work for me. So I'll start with one of my first strategies was just to solve as many problems as possible. This is how I kind of prepared for Meta is just solving as many problems in the Leetcode tag as possible. I think that's probably the closest I've ever been to that. And while it has been mildly effective, it hasn't been like the be all end all enough for you to get a pass, right? Because the problem is, in 2024, we're at a stage where everything's getting more competitive, and therefore a lot of companies nowadays are making these slight variations. Like when I was interviewing at TikTok or in LinkedIn 1 and 2 years ago, usually what they would do is they take a Leetcode problem straight off of Leetcode and then paste it on the coder pad and ask you to solve that. Well, that's no longer the case anymore in my experience. At the same time, I have gotten a bit unlucky. In all of my on-sites, I have gotten a Leetcode hard problem on every one of them. So it just could be my luck. But at the same time, you always want to be prepared for the worst. So just because you might not get a Leetcode hard doesn't necessarily mean that you want to prepare like you're going to get in Leetcode medium. So getting back to the point here, I tried doing taking massive action, solving as many problems as possible. Basically what I would do is I'd go down the Leetcode tag list and I'd do the problems again and again and again. Now, why is the reason why this method is only mildly effective? While it helps you to get that rote kind of memorization and pattern recognition, oftentimes I found myself not really understanding the problem within, right? So it was a matter of I knew how to do the problem, but I didn't know why I would do each step. I just knew how to do it. And any good interviewer will be able to sniff that out. And it just so happened that that was the case when I interviewed at Meta, especially when the interviewer asked me a lot of questions and then he really exposed me. So that was one of the strategies I used. That was probably the closest. Another one was just going for breadth. So just doing as many problems as possible, and hoping for the best. Now that's not a strategy that, ended up working well for me because I got a problem that I only worked on one time and I didn't really remember how to do it. So I got burnt by that when I was doing my LinkedIn onsite, right? So I've talked about the things that haven't worked for me. What are the things that are working for me right now? What you want to do is you want to understand the underlying concepts. Now, if you're not aware, I'm part of Formation, which is kind of an interview training program. And, at the beginning I was kind of bullheaded, but as I started to learn from my mistakes, I kind of realized that, their method is right. So what you want to do is you want to figure out the problem by hand, right? And then what you want to do is you want to think of different algorithms that might be able to solve the problem, right? And then from there, you derive different solutions, you derive the time complexity. And the most important part is making that pseudocode and then translating to physical code. Now, pseudocode to code, in my opinion, is probably the hardest part about it, at least for me. The problem solving comes pretty easy, at least for me, right? But these are all the steps that you need to take, and what this really works on is it actually works on your problem solving so that you're not that reliant on, these as solving so many Leetcode style problems. Because let's be honest, a lot of us don't have time or don't want to sit in front of a computer for 8 to 12 hours a day solving Leetcode problems all day. One, it's boring. 2, it's dry, and 3, it's just no fun. Like, I'd rather build a personal project than sit there and figure out how to reverse a linked list. It's just not exciting to me. So I'm always looking for the most effective ways to do something, and this is probably how I've found to work best for me, right? So I encourage you guys to try it. Try it on your next coding interview, or just practice that problem solving skill. And the last thing is time management, right? Before, what I would do is I would just, go as hard as I can for as long as I can, right? But what I found was after, a couple hours, I was kind of getting burnt out. My brain couldn't think anymore, even if I took a break. So I just called it for a day. And, that's actually resulted in me having much more effective practice sessions by doing less. So, take these tips. Hope it works for you. If this video provided some value to you, make sure you hit like, comment, tell me what you thought about it in the comments section below, and subscribe, as it really helps support the channel and lets me know that you enjoy content like this. And without further ado, I'll see you in the next video.